Hello, everybody, and welcome to I believe it's the fifth episode now of Barking Boys.
I don't think that's the case. I think this is
maybe
4.
maybe four. I don't know. I'm bad at counting. But with me, I have Hard Hat and it's, Steven. And today we're doing a more serious topic involving Ruby Ridge. So if you guys heard the last one with Waco, then maybe if you're not for that kind of thing, then that's just that's your own discretion, man.
You're here for the events that caused
Yeah.
Waco. This is the whole reason the ATF was trying to save themselves because they fucked up with this one. Even though this one's about as fucked as Waco, if not worse, but it's fine,
I don't know. It's just like Tragedy Olympics. Like this is just such a personal fucking vindication on this guy and his family. It's unreal.
Okay, I want y'all guys. I'm gonna set the scene here. Okay, it's the 1970s. Okay, you can get married to your wife. Her name is Vicky. Okay, and y'all have a couple children. Y'all live in Idaho for a bit. And Vicky comes to you and she's like, all right, it's time to make the family more religious. It's time we get more serious with our religion. And you being you just like, yeah, all right, sounds good to me. Whatever you say, woman. And so y'all decide that y'all are going to move out to a good old place called Ruby Ridge. You're going to have a cabin built. It's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Okay? There's no one around you other than a bunch of not very nice people. No, they weren't very nice. But she's going to instill upon the family the most traditional Christian beliefs known to man. I'm talking hardcore Bible thumping. We're bringing it down. Everything. No technology. No TVs. No none of that. Every time, the woman is on her, we'll call it a cycle. They go out to a cabin in the other place, and they stay away from the husband for a week, including the daughters did the same thing. All the way up to the points of writing congressmen and other people, telling them that they are pretty much the devil, and how they are doing bad things that God will not like. This woman.
I'll go so far as to say, like, at the expense of these people, they were like almost a funny kind of crazy, right?
They were fucking hell. I don't. I guess I can never understand that far of religion and stuff. But my God, they were there with it. At least Vicky was. Randy Weaver, not so much. He just kind of rolled with the punches. Randy being ex-military, not a big fan of the government, why of course, and had some involvement with some not nice people that didn't like a certain group of people, being the Aryan Nationals.
There's no real skirting around that one.
Beating around the bush, no.
Okay,
so this is where it becomes less funny when he just becomes a racist. Like,
oh, man. Okay, so Randy wasn't fully involved with the Aryan Nationals, but he did attend a couple meetings. But
he just hung out, man.
So Randy and the family, they had 2 kids at the time. Adopted a third, brought in a third, Kevin. And the family was very, like, traditional Christian family values, I guess. I don't know. They all read the Bible. They wouldn't leave the house without a gun strapped to them. And, of course, they lived out in the middle of nowhere, so they had to hunt. They would hunt. They would farm. They would do whatever they need to do to, try to sustain themselves. Randy had an unfortunate thing of building firearms that were not completely legal.
In this case, most conclusively illegal.
Yeah, very illegal. Randy was approached by a man. This man was an undercover ATF agent by the name of his alias was Gus Magsano. Yeah. Came to him and was like, hey man, I need 2 sawed-off shotguns. And he was like, okay, yeah, sure, I can do that. I can do 2 sawed-off shotguns. And sold this ATF man 2 sawed-off shotguns. So, of course, he sells them to him. And here comes the U.S. government. They get involved. They're like, all right, this guy's selling illegal firearms. Let's get in on this. So they set up a court date. And Randy B. and Randy is like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to show up for this one. So he misses the first court date, which it was also moved to a later date, but they didn't do enough to tell Randy that they had moved the court date to a later date. They just kind of, didn't really want to go upon his property either, because it was known that they all had lots of weapons on the place. And whatnot, and they were so secluded that they just didn't really put in enough effort to tell Randy, hey, we moved your court date. They moved the court date to 3 days later, and of course Randy doesn't show up because he really just doesn't know that the court date had been moved. And so, of course, the ATF, being the ATF, decides that the best way to combat people is to knock on their front door with assault rifles.
Yeah, no, this was pretty much the height of government overstep at this time. I mean, arguably maybe now too, but and this is like the same time that like MK Ultra's going down. You got like Nixon in office, I think, at some point in there. Like it wasn't this clean, apparatus that we would like to imagine that it is one day, even though it's still probably just as corrupt and awful. But this was just like blatant government overstep before things like the internet made it so easy to share. The crazy shit was happening. It just like happened to people and tried to get swept under the rug, and then you'd get things like this where like that goes on for so long, and so they just get so comfortable in being in these positions of, hey, we're going to point, fully automatic assault rifles at people and tell them to give me their sawed-off shotguns and whatever else, may be there, even if no one's sitting here threatening to go shoot up a federal building or anything like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like that Randy was, I say, innate violent. He had previous military training and they knew he had a stockpile of weapons, but the only thing they kind of based the things off of was the letters that Vicky, his wife, had wrote. Even calling a man, what was it? Something of Babylon.
Yes.
The whore of Babylon.
Servant of the Queen of Babylon. She wrote that to U.S. Attorney Maurice O. Elworth. And writing, they stink of your lawless government and has reached heaven, the abode of Yahweh, our Yahshua, and whether we live or die, we will not bow to your evil commandments.
Yeah, did you see the image of the sign they had in front of their property? Every knee shall bow to Yahshua Messiah.
Yeah,
just like big red text.
Yeah, Yahshua was another name for God, I believe.
It's like
kind of wild. But I believe in 1992, August 21st is when we begin our moments that we had.
Well, okay, so like, are we leading into the helicopter incident? Because I think this is just like a fun side note.
Wait, no, do tell.
Okay, so there was like a flyover by a hired helicopter, right? Just like doing some shit in his area, and apparently he shot at it. Like, that's what people said.
Well, no way. Like, just
yeah, and so like,
over and he's like, no, fuck this dude.
From what I understand, that's why the marshals were there, right? Like, that's where they come into this, is because they were like, hey, maybe this guy shouldn't be like fucking shooting at helicopters flying overhead. Surprise, and of course Weaver said he never shot at any helicopter, so that could have just been totally made up.
Yeah,
since he didn't shoot the helicopter, it's not like we can tell, I guess. Anyways, that's the helicopter incident. It just kind of happened, and I mean, like, it did drag another federal agency into it, but I mean, so from here, right, like, this is where we talk about the actual, like, shooting and siege that took place.
Yeah.
And this bit's kind of not great to listen to at all, because it involves, like, the death of some very, I don't know. Once again, a bit of discretion here, but, like, he didn't show up to his court date, and then he shot at the helicopter or whatever, allegedly. And so that's when the Marshal Service found it appropriate to dress in camouflage, get some night vision, and equip themselves with M16s. So that's when August 21st, 2 teams. So there was a reconnaissance team composed of Art Roderick, Larry Cooper, and William F. Bill Deegan. And an observation post team, right? So, like, David Hunt, Joseph Thomas, and Frank Norris. That's the names of these individuals. But yeah, the OP team, and then you had a recon team. So one team was like taking a look, seeing what's going on, and then the other team was like back. I think they were like down the mountain, maybe. I can't remember.
They were waiting further down there, waiting for the reconnaissance team.
At one point, Roderick threw a couple of rocks at the Weaver's cabin to see what the dogs would do, right? And little did he know that if you throw rocks at a dog, it kind of pisses them off. So this Golden Lab striker chases after the noise sound and getting pelted by rocks, whatever. So the agents that were around fall back a little bit into the woods. And that's when Sammy Weaver, I believe he's 14 years old.
Yes.
Sammy Weaver, the 14-year-old kid, son of Randy Weaver, and Kevin Harris, the family friend, and you said he was adopted?
I believe he was adopted into the family. Don't quote me on that one, but I thought I had read that he was. He might have just been a family friend. I might have read incorrectly, but he could have just been a family friend then.
He was older anyways, like an adult. And so he and Sammy, Kevin and Sammy, hearing the dogs go nuts, but of course having no idea about being surrounded by people in camouflage and night vision and all that, figured it was something like small game, right? Because they were in a cabin in the middle of nowhere and they needed to eat. So, you'd go hunt and kill things that were nearby and that kind of stuff. And eventually, after a bit of chase, the neighbors turned on a pickup truck, which, and this is where it gets kind of, who tells the story, but like the dogs are, okay, so Randy was off on a different trail, not nearby. So Sammy and Kevin split off, right? And at some point, the kid, Kevin, and the dog, and some people say the dog first, some people say the kid first, ran into the recon team, the U.S. Marshals, who yelled, "Back off, U.S. Marshal," etc., right? And that's when everybody kind of comes out of the woods, and the dog jumps at him, right? So Roderick shot the dog in the head, right? It was underneath the butthole and through the body. That's where it was. Just like killing the dog right in front of this 14-year-old kid. Having witnessed their dog right in front of him, Sammy shot 3 rounds at the Marshals, yelling, "You've killed my dog, you son of a bitch." Harris stuck to cover and shot a few rounds at the agent as well, one of which actually killed Deputy William Deegan of the U.S. Marshal Service. Sammy, who at this point was running back up the hill, so like one of the agents just got shot to death. And then Deputy of the U.S. Marshals, Cooper, shot Sammy in the back. So, allegedly, he was running away, and that's when they got shot. And I think they proved it was when he was running away. Like, the shot didn't need to be taken.
Yeah, no, the shot was taken, and it was proven that it was shot through the back, too.
He was shot through the back, and then they proved it was also this guy, Cooper. What's his first name? Sorry, Larry Cooper. Who just like saw a kid running up a hill and decided to just take his ass out. So 19 rounds were fired. Roderick shot 1 out of an M16, killing the dog. Sammy shot 3 rounds out of a Mini 14 at Roderick, missing all shots. This guy Deegan fired a few rounds. Harris fired a few rounds, one of which killed Deegan. So the first guy that died, the other than the dog, anyways, the marshal.
Yeah, Marshall.
And then Cooper fired 6 9mm rounds from a Colt submachine gun, one of which struck and killed Sammy Weaver. And so multiple investigations were done. It was concluded on, the official books or whatever, that there was no intent. They didn't mean to kill the boy. An alternate version of events, as reported by Randy and Sarah Weaver, the two survivors, and Harris also survived. But Harris claims that Stryker was followed out of the woods by himself and Sammy, and then the dog ran up to Agent 1, and then this being Cooper, and then ran over to Roderick, and then Roderick shot it right in front of Sammy, right? That's when Sammy yelled, all the shots went down, kind of the same as it was said earlier. But Harris said he deliberately shot Deegan in the chest. It wasn't just like shooting out. And then after he dug for cover, that's when Cooper shot Sammy.
Yeah, and it was also, I also heard that they didn't, now it could be just conflicting reports, as I also heard that Sammy did not know that they were U.S. Marshals, that he pretty much just saw someone kill his dog in front of him, and, out of
yeah,
instinct,
you freak the fuck out, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, a 14-year-old kid carrying a gun, which...
What would you do?
You're in the middle of the woods. You wouldn't expect another person to show up on your land and just pop your dog out of nowhere. The only thing, the reason those kids were carrying the guns was both for protection for animals and hunting as well. It wasn't like they were, I guess, armed to defend themselves from the U.S. government. But, I mean, I guess that also goes back to the fact that the entire family was also armed anytime they went outside the house. But, good old... you can't say good old. Just, mountain people kind of shit. So...
Well, I mean, like, okay, so... They're, like, in the Northwest, and I'm pretty sure there's, like, grizzly bears up there, right?
Yeah. No,
just, like, some shit you don't want to deal with without, like, having a gun on you. I just, like, of practical matters. I mean, like, for example, we live in Texas, and, like, I know people who are, like, doing ranch work or whatever, and they go over with a pistol and a rifle in their truck. So if they got to shoot something, that's how they're bothering the cows. They're not just totally unequipped.
Yeah,
it's like a tool at some point, right? And I'm not saying that's what these people were doing.
Yeah,
I mean, he was selling illegal rifles, but...
Unfortunately, you can't compare this family to, your good old southern farmer down here in Texas.
I'm just trying to, like, carry the logic as it should be viewed in kind of an unbiased light.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I do see your point. It's only, I think it only brings in the religion is what it was, because they were very, at least Vicky herself was very apocalyptical. So it was very similar to, like, Waco.
Yeah, I think it was like end times.
Yeah, they
they're
were
preparing or whatever.
Yeah, Vicky was one of those end times deals things to ready to fight.
Prepper.
Yeah, the armies of Babylon.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Oh God, yeah.
all right, so I'm going to talk about the siege for a minute, if that's good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So, like, after Sammy got shot and died, Kevin Harris ran back up the hill. I think he obviously told everybody what was going on. Randy Weaver got back. And eventually they got the body, right? And then I believe they put the body in a shed, or I'm not entirely sure what happened to it. But I know that the location of it plays like somewhat of a point here. Sorry, what's up?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. I know where you're going.
Okay, so anyways, siege, right? Special rules of engagement were made, and I'm just going to read them out to you because they're kind of fucking insane. And these are like the rules of engagement to determine if you can, like, shoot somebody or not. So the first one is, if any adult in the area around the cabin is observed with a weapon after the surrender announcement has been made, deadly force could and should be used to neutralize the individual. 2, if any adult male is observed with a weapon prior to the announcement, deadly force can and should be employed. The shot be taken if the shot could be taken without endangering any children. And I repeat, if any adult male is observed with a weapon prior to the announcement, deadly force can and should be employed if the shot could be taken without endangering any children. Number 3, if compromised by any dog, the dog can be taken out. Jesus, fucking verbatim.
It has to be the dogs.
any subjects, and this is the fourth one, any subjects other than Randy Weaver, Vicky Weaver, Kevin Harris presenting the threat of death or grievous bodily harm, FBI rules of deadly force apply. Deadly force can be utilized to prevent the death or grievous bodily injury to oneself or that of another. So, like, it's a very cruel form of foreshadowing, right? Because
Unfortunately,
it's just like permission to fucking shoot at will.
yeah.
Eventually, the adult part in the first one was changed to adult male, just like in the second one, where it's like you can't shoot Vicky for no fucking reason, I guess. Which funny rules.
Funny, haha.
The siege began on August the 21st when deputy marshals requested the assistance of the FBI and local Idaho law enforcement. The governor, Cecil Andrews, declared a state of emergency and allowed the U.S. Marshal Service to use the armory of Idaho's National Guard.
God, fuck.
I was just like, yeah, let's give them military equipment.
Which, okay, I just want it to be known real quick that the Weaver family was not armed with, like, anything other than the Mini 14 was
They didn't have a fucking RPG. Like,
no, the Mini 14 was the highest caliber weapon they had. They had a couple of, they had the Mini 14, small arms pistols, which I believe were chambered in 22, and like one more rifle. There was
like a 30-06. Like,
yeah, there was a 30-06 hunting rifle. There was no M16s, M4s, AKs, Uzis, none of that. It was extreme small arms, and nothing that was armor penetrating. Let's say that. I mean, the 30-06 is going to do damage to anybody that it hits, but still, it's not your. I'm gonna kill army people with it.
So the siege began on the 21st of August when the deputy marshals got the FBI, right? The next day, that's when the snipers come in, right? They were deployed all over the mountain. I think there were, I don't know how many teams there were. I don't know what I'm talking about. The second day of the siege, as part of the hostage rescue teams, right? It's worth mentioning, the team members thought that the ROEs, as mentioned earlier, were a bit excessive. But at the same time, recognized they got like a green light to shoot armed adult males on the site. These are just incredibly irresponsible rules of engagement. That wasn't just like an obvious point. But negotiators arrived. This guy, Alon Haruchi, before negotiators arrived, Alon Haruchi, a sniper positioned 200 yards away, shot and wounded Randy Weaver while he was visiting his dead son. So he, his 16-year-old daughter Sarah, and Kevin Harris, who were all there with him at the time, ran back towards the cabin. The sniper, Haruchi, fired a second shot, this time at Harris, wounding him in the chest. Now, this bullet went through him and then killed Vicky Weaver, who was standing at the door, holding their 10-month-old baby, Lishiba. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce that. But so they were going to like view and mourn the body of their dead son when Randy Weaver got shot, and then they shot Kevin Harris, who was standing in between, I guess, that line of fire and Vicky Weaver, right? She was on the other side of, I think, a screen door or something like that. And it killed her while she was holding her baby. And that's pretty awful. Weaver, of course, after this refused to negotiate. But eventually, a civilian negotiator came in, Bogritz. And that's when he eventually surrendered. I think Harris surrendered on August the 30th. And then on the 31st, that's when Randy and Sarah, the last two remaining people.
They brought Kevin in because Kevin was in such a deep dying state that they let him come back. But I would like to bring a point in that I do know about the negotiations between. I believe, I don't remember. It was just federal agent that was contacting them. Trying to negotiate with them. And they did not know, the federal agents, none of them knew that they shot and killed Vicky.
Oh my god, yes, I forgot about this part. This is so awful.
They did not know they shot and killed Vicky. So the next morning, after they had shot and killed Vicky, they came over the loudspeaker and was like, "Hey Vicky, we had pancakes for lunch or for breakfast. Sorry, we had pancakes for breakfast. What did you have? Would you and the kids like to come and have pancakes with us?" And for a week or several days after this, they still did not know that Vicky was dead, and they kept trying to contact Vicky, and it really just pissed off Randy.
Randy thought they were like taunting him.
Yeah, the entire family thought they were taunting him because they kept trying to contact Vicky, and Vicky was dead on the floor. It's just makes me want to throw up. I mean, it's not like they knew, but still, fucking hell. You know. So it was also brought up too, the whole line of sight deal of the sniper, that he had to also think that if he shot through something, if it would hit something. You know, like bringing in.
Well, it's like gun safety, right?
If I shot
like what's
through the
behind your
front
target?
door of this house, would there be anything on the backside of this house? And he didn't really bring that into, you know, whatever.
Account?
Yeah, he didn't bring that into account. He just kind of, you know, his name was what? Lauren Haruchi. Yeah, that man.
Yeah.
Just, fuck it, bullet through the door.
As if it wasn't already like a fucking tragedy.
It's just it's comical how bad the ATF handled this and Waco all in with like a 2-week span. Maybe 3 week. I don't remember. It was within a very timely span, and Lauren Haruchi was part of both of them. Like, you know, the whole case with Waco was, all right. Let's make the ATF. Let's make us look better after we just murdered a whole bunch of people back at Ruby Ridge, and because the people were outraged. Absolutely, they demanded for the abolishment for the ATF. Oops,
sorry guys.
Even like putting like stickers and stuff on ATF vans saying, you know, we protect the children and whatnot. Yeah, everyone was pissed off, and so their idea was, let's go in and kill a bunch of supposed, which not confirmed or denied. I'm not defending Waco at all, but I'm just saying that, you know, let's go in and let's make ourselves look better by killing a bunch of pedophiles. And well, as per the last episode, we saw how that one went. But yeah.
Let's hear about the trial.
Yeah, let's hear about that trial.
So, after all this shit show, the trial of Weaver and Harris. Trials of Weaver and Harris. They're charged with a variety of offenses, one of them being murder. Beginning in April of 1993, it was presided over by Judge what was his name, Lodge? In mid-June, and his defense attorney, who's something Spence, rested his case without calling witnesses for the defense, but instead he sought to convince the jury through cross-examination, which was aimed at discrediting the government's evidence and witnesses. As well as this, whenever they were starting the trial on the fourth day of trial, during this was during the siege of the religious compound in Waco, and the fires broke out, and you know, all the Branch Davidians were being killed at the exact same time that these terrible events were being brought in with this fucking whatever the fucking judge's name was.
So I would like to bring up a good point that comes in with the trial. Whenever it's brought up that they brought up no witnesses, it's because they didn't want Randy Weaver to be on stand. Because they knew that dude was so fucking, he'd just say whatever, that he knew that if he put Randy on stage, that it would just, they would run wild with it. So the whole part of the U.S. government brought in was thought-based. They said that it was the beliefs of the Weavers that warranted us to come in armed. It was the letters from Vicky. And the defense attorney came in and was like, all right, yeah, so she wrote a couple mean letters. What if I told you were the queen of Babylon? Are you gonna shoot me? I mean, he brought up, he was like, this is the first, well, it's not the first, well, it was partly the First Amendment, but it was more of freedom of religion and the right to bear arms and to protect yourselves is what was brought up as well. And so they knew, the defense attorney knew that he could use just the what they were going to bring up and then just turn it against them instead of having to use any witnesses, because if he brought any witnesses, then that the jury would see that Randy Weaver is a outrighteous spoken piece of shit. So that was one major point that was brought up whenever they decided no witnesses. There was a pretty good reason for that.
So speaking of Weaver, he did get sorry here. Oh, I'm skipping over a few parts. I'm sorry about that. After they had gone to the trial and there was lengthy deliberation, it was one of the fucking, the whole fucking, it was one of the biggest cases, and like there were people saying, you to the fucking jury, you guys are like going to be, how the fuck did they put it? Like they were going to be like some huge fucking important push towards, the huge part of this case, and that trying to fucking keep them in the loop of, this horror needs to come to an end. Fucking kind of getting the emotional states involved in this. They eventually found Harris and Weaver acquitted of their charges related to the murder of the agent. Even though... Oh... Where did my note go? Shit, I lost it. I'm sorry.
You're good.
They ended up getting acquitted. Even though Weaver... Where did my note go? I think I just lost it. I'm sorry. Weaver had was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment and fines $10,000, and he eventually was credited for good behavior and served less than 16 months, and then was released later on in December. Something I thought was also incredible was whenever he was released, they filed a $300 million lawsuit against the government for the wrongdoings and wrongdoing deaths, for Vicky and Sammy, and the U.S. government ended up paying him for...
I believe they settled out of court. That one.
Well, that's civil suits that happened later, right? Like, I mean, so Harris got out of jail, and then the feds investigated themselves, right? Like...
Okay, so the civil suit had happened in '95, so it was before the actual the state got involved, because I believe the trial against at least against some of them was in '97.
Well, that might have been true, but like, I think the Department of Justice created what they called the Ruby Ridge Task Force, and it gave a report on June 10th of '94.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Oh, yeah, they were criticized the rules of engagement by claiming they were unconstitutional.
Also, fun fact, 4 years after that report, Michael Coe, the chief of the FBI's Violent Crime Section, pled guilty to obstruction of justice and went to jail.
You want to know why? He burnt a document. He burnt a document about the Ruby Ridge deal.
He's just like, that's going to make us look too bad. I'd rather ruin my career.
Like, click the lighter. Yeah, because, okay, so I'll do a real quick one on the, in 1997, they took Lauren Haruchi to trial for both, I believe it was both for Waco and for Ruby Ridge. He was found on manslaughter charges, but I believe he didn't serve any time. Yeah, dismissed the case on grounds of sovereign immunity. So that man walked free. Yeah, they had a whole case for manslaughter against him, and the judge ruled for sovereign immunity. It's just
Hey
like,
man, we can do what we want on our own soil. You just
Yeah.
better be a part of the government or a corporation.
better stay the fuck back. So I'm gonna speak real quick on Randy post Ruby Ridge, just a little bit because I only know so much. Uh, he died at the age of 71. It was a couple years back. I think it was 2016, 2017. But he still attended gun shows and stuff. And he was kind of a big deal whenever he would go to gun shows. Like, everyone would come up to him and they would talk to him. They said he was, like, really nice to talk to. And some of them even tried to talk about religion to him. And he was like, nope, I don't do that anymore. He goes, I will not talk about religion, and I don't do religion anymore. And I guess, the events of what had happened prior lost all of his faith. I don't believe that he was real clamped in it to begin with. He was just kind of going along with what Vicky was going along about. But I'm going to throw another point back, bringing up Lauren Haruchi. I totally forgot about this one from the trial. It was, day 4, the whole Waco incident happened. Day 5, I believe, on the note, or on the desk of the federal government's attorney was an envelope, and inside the envelope was a hand-drawn picture of what Lauren Haruchi saw through the window whenever he fired the shot that killed Vicky. And it was a hand-drawn note that has a door and like your traditional 4-pane window with 2 little bumps on the lower side of the window. Lauren Haruchi had drawn this picture the day after he had killed Vicky. And it shows him knowing that there were 2 people behind the door whenever he pulled the trigger, knowing that he would have killed one of them. So that man just said, fuck it, let him die, I guess. I don't know.
That's pretty fucking haunting.
If there's anything to talk about, I believe between these two is Lord Haruchi. I don't know where you are. You're a giant piece of shit. Like, it's just... It's just kind of crazy.
But the lesson here is people shouldn't be, like, sentenced to death for having beliefs you don't agree with. Like, pretty fundamental fucking...
Yeah, that's I think the biggest thing, because I do not agree with anything.
I think he's probably a shit dude. I wouldn't have liked him. He's real awful kind of fella.
Stay the fuck away from me. His wife fucking crazy. Nah, I'm good. No, you keep you and your religion way the fuck over there. And I mean, they were trying to. At least Vicky was. Randy decided that he was going to go to a couple
get-togethers.
And of course, let's always bring up that, like, he was also a criminal. Like, he did commit a crime.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Also, that should earn you due process, I believe they call it, not death again.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so another point that was brought up. Okay, so you know how they talked Randy into just coming down off of his mountain?
Bogrits, right?
Yeah, Bogrits.
That's the guy.
Okay.
Oh, the mediator, right? Because they're like, we need to find somebody who's not us.
It was brought up. Why couldn't they have just done that to begin with? Why couldn't they have gone and talked to Randy one-on-one? Randy listened to everything they had to say at the time. I understand that they had all these righteous beliefs that this man was extremely violent and stuff, but no one tried to reach out and contact Randy, like, correctly. They tried the most skimming way of getting around this court thing, and they just no one really just tried to go and talk to Randy. And this is what it led to. Instead of going to talk to Randy, we'd rather shoot your fucking dog.
And your wife and your son.
Yeah, that's...
And your other son, but we didn't kill him, though. Oh, and yourself. They did shoot Randy.
And Kevin Harris.
Yeah, and Kevin.
Then they, like... such a terrible thing, man. Now that I have a kid, I'm like all fucked up about her holding the baby when she got shot to death. That's
I mean, especially because like both of us have like young children. Not even the age of which that baby was. What was the baby? 10 months. Yeah,
10 or 11 months.
yeah, I mean, we're not even close to that, and at least fatherhood and that hand. But I tell you what, if I see that someone has shot, well, if I see that someone has shot and killed my wife that's holding my baby, I don't know what I would do. But oh my god,
I think it's a credit to his character that he didn't just like
break.
blow his fucking brains out or something. You know, like
Really, it's just
he actually just like stayed alive and kept living. That's, I don't know. That doesn't sound very easy.
Bringing it back
I guess
to
you do, but
Waco and Ruby Ridge, they are also the reasons for the Oklahoma City bombing. But because there was we had just brought up the two biggest sightings to the Oklahoma City bombing. Whoops.
it's all right.
It was a horrible event, and I am not talking about that one anytime soon.
That's all right. I think we've been keeping a little too real.
Okay, I have an idea. We have a little bit more time here.
You might. Yeah, I gotta go to fucking bed.
You gotta go to bed? Oh man, I was.
What are you talking about? What do you got?
I don't know. I was gonna see if anyone had a lighthearted topic we could just finish out. Like a short little lighthearted topic.
Fun fact Friday.
Fun fact Friday.
Here, I'm gonna hit the random page on. No.
Be careful. There's a lot of stuff about
Yeah.
a certain person in high politics right now.
I got nothing, fellas. Oh, actually, I do want to tell you about Esperanto. Esperanto is like the coolest thing ever. It was this language that this dude invented because he was like, hey, man, it'd probably be easier to have world peace if we all spoke the same language. So he made up this like common man's language. And it was like taking over the world. And then I think the First World War happened. And then I think it survived that. But then when Nazi Germany started doing their thing, that's when it finally died
kind
out.
of crumbled. Oh my god.
Yeah, when like fascism and stuff took over, they're like, "Why do you need to talk to other country? They're not people." Like,
that reminds me of some dude that decided to talk to a dolphin.
That.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he just tried to like think his way into a dolphin. I mean, Margaret really did the heavy lifting.
Let's just
Literally.
take LSD and fucking go.
Guys, it's so important. I need to talk to squirrels for no reason other than telepathy.
Extraterrestrial beings. But,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna part ways with you,
All right.
fellas.
Sounds
Been
good.
a pleasure.
Good
Thanks
talk.
for the little shaking that off. That was. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's such a very personal fucking thing now. You know, it's always just like, hey, look, government atrocity, but now it's like, oh yeah, there's a little baby involved, and it's sad. Yeah, better hit it. Oh wait, we never said bye. Right, bye.